Hello, the block height is 863534. You are listening to the one and only Art of Freedom here every Monday night on Spaces, the place to listen and get the stories of this incredible revolution that we call Bitcoin art. I'm Rebel Money, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Flo. How you doing, Flo?
Hey Rebel, I'm doing fine. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Yeah, just chilling, just looking forward. Just been listening to some music today, some Bitcoin music, so it's good. How about you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I've been listening Bitcoin music too and preparing for some new projects. I know you are also working on for new projects, right?
Yeah, so we got loads of projects going at the moment everywhere. Got Amsterdam coming up next week, which I'm really excited about, and that's going to be good fun. Um, and yeah, and other things in the future as well, which I can't reveal just yet. So, how about you, Flo? What projects are you working on?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be able to visit a conference in Argentina. Thanks to my brother and his girlfriend, they invited me, so I'll be and I have submitted some art for an art contest there. So we'll see if it goes well. I'll share it with you. If not, I'm gonna go and have some fun.
That'd be great. Either way, it's going to be a cool experience. Chat to Bitcoiners, and it'd be cool to do a conference in South America. That'd be quite interesting, especially in Argentina, where with inflation, everything's probably a bit more. Is definitely more of a need there than perhaps other parts of the Western world.
Yeah, I hear this one is the biggest one in Latin America and it's very old. It's kind of very shitcoinery, but we'll see. I'm open to the experience and I hear people really like it and they like it's a really fun conference to be at. So I'm just happy to have this new experience.
It's great. It's all part of the Bitcoin art journey, isn't it? Just exploring different parts and taking you to places you thought you'd never go, including Argentina. So that's great. All right, then. Let's crack on with today's show. As much as I know you like listening to me and Flo chat back and forth about art and stuff, it's what really makes the show is the guests, and kind of following on from our flavour of Bitcoin music. We had Bitcoin Mermaid last week. We have another songstress on our hands today, creating incredible Bitcoin music. I'd like to welcome Internet Sophi to the show. How are you doing, Sophi?
Hey Rebel, hey Flo. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
We really appreciate you coming on today. And yeah, I was bopping along the aforementioned music here in the introduction. I was bopping along to your tunes in my studio today whilst I was busy creating my piece for Amsterdam. So thank you very much for keeping me going, because I tell you what, standing can get repetitive, repeating it all the time. So having an awesome tune in the background really does help. That's for certain. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and that makes me so happy because, sometimes artists want to write music because they want to share their feelings and, send a message. And, I also think that making music is about accompanying people in their daily tasks and helping them get through the day. So I'm really happy that my song could be a part of the background of your day today.
Oh, it was great and very inspiring. Saying very upbeat. So let's get into your journey then, Sophie. Like so, yeah. I just want to know a little bit about your kind of background in terms of how you got into Bitcoin, and then how the two worlds of kind of Bitcoin and your creative outlet, i.e., singing and music, collided.
Yeah, absolutely. So I became a Bitcoiner the way a lot of women do through their husbands or boyfriends. At the time, I was dating Nico, and he was a little bit further ahead in his Bitcoin journey than I was. And we had just started talking, and he, of course, tried to orange pill me. And I had a lot of questions, I had a lot of doubts. Um, I was very fiat minded, and I couldn't really understand the importance and the weight of what this technology could bring to not just the financial industry, but to pretty much every facet of life. And little by little, I started understanding the relevance and the importance of Bitcoin, and I started to apply it to my own life. I have been a music artist since I was a young child. I started singing when I was 9 years old. There's a video on YouTube actually of like the first time I ever sang in a talent show. And that had always been my dream. I had looked up to pop stars like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, and I always wanted to be like them. So when I was in high school, I went to a magnet school for musical theater. And then in university, I went to the Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music at NYU, and I graduated in recorded music. One of the things that I had always wanted to do with music was kind of like make it online. So I started uh, making a lot of content, making covers, releasing original content. But what I realized is that the game in the music industry is a little bit rigged. And a lot of the people that we see are like organic artists or whatever, like they get captured by the labels. And when I learned about Bitcoin, I learned that this could be a solution to this very centralized system that we have for distributing music, specifically because you can put the power back into the hands of the artist, into the hands of the songwriters, the producers, the engineers, instead of in the hands of labels and record executives who just basically rape and pillage, literally and metaphorically, these artists. Um, and so nowadays, I want my music to be about Bitcoin. I see that there's an opportunity in the space to grow. And I'm making a couple of songs here and there. That's part of the reason why I chose the artist name Internet Sophie. uh and yeah, I'm really excited to release them. I'm looking for ways to make visuals at this point so that I can put them out into the open so that you guys can all listen to it.
Wow, what an introduction that was! That we dropped a load of bombs there, Sophie. Really exciting, and a wonderful kind of story how you got into it, and how now you're honing your craft around Bitcoin. Where do we start there? I guess maybe if we talk a little bit about the music industry for those people that don't know how it operates and see it as this kind of, if you are the most generally the most talented person, you will go really far in the music industry, and it's really simple. Where you just turn up, sing the best songs, and then you're on the road to stardom. Or that's what it looks like from the outside. Is that the actual case in the music industry, and exactly what goes on there?
So I, like many people, thought that that was the case, and that was what I had signed up for. You know, as a little girl, I had watched American Idol and The Voice, and I thought, wow, if I was just as talented as all of these singers, then I could make it into this industry. And little did I know that when you sign up for example, those singing competitions, immediately they want to take your intellectual property. Immediately they want to take a percentage of everything that you make on these shows. So when you sign up, for example, for The Voice, you are signing a contract that allows the network and the company, the production company that runs The Voice, to take about, I think it was like 30% of whatever it is that you make for the next year and a half in exchange for publicity on television. And so you don't, there is this, there is this contract that you get into that at the beginning most people don't know about, and they don't go in with those intentions, but that's what you're actually signing up for. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This type of practice goes into every single thing that you do as a music artist when you're in mainstream media.
Wow. And you also said of other things that are going on, and other misdoings that happen in the industry. A lot of it is actually being highlighted at the moment, with whatever P Diddy's been doing in his spare time, or wherever it might be. Have you, with your contacts and the people you know in the industry, is this kind of commonplace, this practice of people kind of preying upon um, lesser known artists, in terms of financially, but in other, abusing them in other means as well?
I will say I'm lucky enough to not have experienced that myself, nor come across any of my fellow music artists um, who have gone through that. I I did know this one girl in university who ended up hooking up with one of the teachers though, and that is like, I mean, but that's pretty, I think that happens in not just music industry or like school or whatever. I think that happens in other industries as well. But like you said, with the P Diddy scandal, with Harvey Weinstein, like this happens in a lot of artist related industries because people just want to make it, and it's not just enough to provide your proof of work. Like there is this proof of stake aspect of like who you know, and how much you're willing to sacrifice in terms of money and you know favors, if you call that favors, uh in exchange for your fame. There's always a price, unfortunately, that people have to pay outside of the sacrifices that people make for their art, and it's really depressing. I didn't want to be a part of that world. I really um I really wanted to like kind of do my own thing, and I've worked with big music producers before. It never really felt right to first, sell my soul financially or in any other way.
Hey, Sophie. So I was wondering because I think from visual arts I have like a similar experience, maybe like studying in your regularly where you go to study art, not like teaching yourself or like going to study music and going to study visual arts, and then like being part of that world. Like, was there a moment where you thought like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to do music? Like, where was a moment where like this world was too frustrating for you? And yeah, that's like, because I think I've experienced something like that, and I don't know if it's like me or if it's like the arts in general. And also, like, do you think like Bitcoin can really fix this or not?
So honestly, no. I never felt that way, and I'll tell you why. I think it's really easy to feel that way, especially, when you see what you see and you know what you know. But there were two reasons why I never felt that way. The first one was because of the internet, right? The internet has made it possible for the decentralization of art, meaning that there is no centralized platform anymore where you have to put your art. Now you leave it up to the market of people, out who are using the internet to be able to tell you whether they like your art or not. Obviously, there are some components which, we still have to fix. And, obviously, the labels that have tons of money will put more money in advertising so that more people can see their artist product. But for the most part, I think that this has given a lot of chance to artists who otherwise would have never been discovered. Even though it is hard, it's still very difficult. Before the internet, I would say that it was impossible. And now with Bitcoin, it's even greater because now that financial aspect is possible for the artist. Like the artist is able to sell their art without an intermediary, without a manager, without an agent, without a bank in between. They can just make their money peer to peer and give their art to people directly.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's having this new relationship with your fans, your audience, with your community, isn't it? Where you can literally just as you say, no, it's permissionless, and I think artists work best when we don't need permission for anything. I believe that's when the truest form of art comes out, and I believe then that's when the best form of art comes out.
A hundred
So
percent. And not only that, sorry to interrupt you, but not only that, the Bitcoin allows artists to be able to survive off of their art, right? So before you would get paid in fiat and your money, your purchasing power would be devalued year after year, and you would still have to cover the costs of production, your materials, right? Distribution. Now it's basically free to distribute your music. It could be free if you just put it up on YouTube. And if you put it up on a platform where you can receive Bitcoin, that Bitcoin increases in value as time goes by so that it enables you to make more art.
it does in effect buy you time, and it's genius. In the way it is, Sophie, because like we kind of just alluding to there in the start of our conversation, I think in terms of fiat, it's about churning things out as quickly as possible, not necessarily making the best form of art. Um, it's very disposable, and the reason it's disposable, as you just kind of have has alluded to there, is that the amount of fiat spent when fiat, the value of fiat just completely collapses over time. So it's there to be spent. Whereas if you have Bitcoin and you are making your money in Bitcoin, you then as an artist have a buffer where you're not forced to be doing stuff you don't necessarily don't want to. And I don't mean in terms of favors or anything like that, but also in terms of creating the work you want to, and also polishing the piece up, so whatever that might be, music or art, until it's ready for the world to be enjoyed in the way it was meant to.
Right. Permissionless money means permissionless actions. You don't have to bow down to anybody but the audience that you specifically want. And when you combine the internet, the decentralization of the distribution of art with permissionless money, the there is no limit to your creativity. There is no limit to what you can do as an artist. And I think that is going to create a renaissance of new material for generations to come.
I was going to ask you about that actually, because this kind of renaissance has been banded around now for a while, and I understand it because during the classical Renaissance, whenever that may be, quite a long time ago, a couple of centuries ago or more, um, artists actually had time in order to do their work and achieve great things and do some new things and really think deeply about things. Do you think? Do you think that's kind of lost today a lot? And what can we expect from artists if we do have kind of this huge change? Because it's not just obviously uh, it's a complete mindset change, because we're so kind of ingrained in the way that to make art at the moment, or to even consume art. I think that it surely it'll be crazy when if the Bitcoin standard kind of takes off, right?
Absolutely, because I think that with um, the peaceful revolution, as Nico likes to call it, and the Bitcoin revolution, there's going to be new ideas, and these are deep ideas that make you question everything that we knew as a society before. And with these new ideas, I mean, that's what the Renaissance was, right? It was a renewal of new ideas that were then manifested through art. And I think that we're going to see the same thing here. We're going to see a new manifestation of art that represents these ideas of freedom, of permissionless money, and of all things that are good. Things that, because we're now incentivized to have those good things that may have been cheapened by fiat, things that you hear a lot of songs on the radio now that are just cheap, right? Like they're not about anything. They just, they kind of make you feel good, and then you have a playlist and you go on to the next one. I think that Bitcoin has the ability to bring back great works of art, in the sense of, we'll be listening to albums again. We'll be watching great films that have deep and thoughtful plots. We'll be looking at art that has meaning more than just, oh, I like the colors make me feel good. Like, this is like representing a deep thought and deep feeling. And I think that this idea of Bitcoin, and of not having to answer to a centralized institution, is going to allow us to do that.
It is fascinating, isn't it? And I do lie awake sometimes at night thinking what a different world um, we would be with Bitcoin, and also how it completely changes the creative landscape as well. Just as an interesting thought, kind of I had in like a couple of nights ago, the Medici family in during the Renaissance really fueled kind of and kind of financially supported a lot of artists. And I think now, like, Bitcoin is the Medici family. It is a decentralized kind of form that artists can use in order to support themselves going forward. Um, yeah, sorry, I just don't know. I was putting that out there.
I
I was
think
just it's just
I
one of
think the
these thoughts.
difference now is that the public can fund these artists, right? So it's not just completely centralized to a Medici family or one powerful entity. Now everybody has the ability to support these artists. Like, if you go on Noster, you'll see so many artists who are being supported by Zaps, and are being supported by the free market, because the free market enjoys their work. I think that as Bitcoin adoption takes off, people are going to, like, that's going to be like your new way of voting, right? You vote with your wallet, with your Bitcoin. You're going to be able to support these artists directly by giving them just a little bit of Bitcoin, which, nowadays, like, might not be much, but in the future will add up and will increase in value, so that they're able to keep doing what they're doing, so that you have the best of the best art, the stuff that is going to last through history and represent our generation, and you get to uplift those powerful voices, and everyone else kind of just like stays behind, or they try again. There's so many artists that failed at first, and they failed, and they tried and tried and tried again, and on their umpteenth time they got it right. That's happened to some of the greatest artists in the world, including Aretha Franklin, who had a lot of struggles as an artist, until she finally got it with her song Respect. So eventually, the free market always gets it right, and the greatest artists will prevail.
You are listening to The Art of Freedom here on Mondays every single week. Just to let you know, The Art of Freedom is a community, and we welcome anyone who wishes to ask a question, either to us, but preferably to our guest, Internet Sophie, who is joining us today. So, Sophie, if I'm an artist now, specifically musician, and I want to upload or try to make money uh, from my art. How would you suggest going about it? What term in terms of kind of the Bitcoin economy should I be looking? What should I be looking to do?
So I've heard great things of Wavelake. I know Wavelake is a platform where artists are able to upload their music and receive Bitcoin in exchange for distributing on their platform. I haven't used it yet because I haven't released any music recently. So, but I do look forward to using it once I have visuals for the song that I wrote called BTC Baby to be released. I'm very excited to share that with you guys. But traditionally speaking, right now, the bedroom artist, as we are called, will take their song and they'll produce it on a DAW like Ableton or Pro Tools or Logic. They can master it with AI for like $30, or they can send it to someone to master it. Afterwards, they will take that master and upload it on a distribution platform, preferably Wavelake if you want to receive Bitcoin, or you can also use a platform like CD Baby, which is what I use sometimes to distribute on all the streaming services like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, YouTube Music, all of the streaming services. And when they connect their BMI or ASCAP number, which is basically an identifying number that connects you, the artist, to your work, then every time the song is played, that they're called PROs, performing rights organizations. They collect the money for you. But I'm guessing that with Wavelake, you can just they probably give you your own ID number, and once you connect that with your music, then it pays out Bitcoin. So yeah, that's basically how you would do it, and then you would tell all your friends to listen to it on X or Instagram or wherever you want to market your music. You can even buy ads, and that's basically how it's done. And if you wanted to take an extra layer of protection for so people don't steal your music or anything, you can always register the copyright of your music and lyrics.
Okay, so I was wondering, going back to to the idea of Bitcoin and in the arts and culture. What's your take on what how would you define fiat music for someone like me? I'm not very, I enjoy music, but I'm not very I don't feel like I'm someone who understands or like knows a lot about music. I'm just like I would go and put play to something, like you said. Sometimes it's just to have something going on, all, but how would you feel like it's the main difference between fiat music and Bitcoin music? And also thinking, because I'm struggling with that definition also in the way of like in arts and everything. And do you think that like normies who don't know anything about Bitcoin could be also doing Bitcoiner music in a way, in a sense? And yeah, what's your take on that?
So for me, fiat music, I mean, it's anything that's not Bitcoin music. Like when I talk about Bitcoin music, I mean music that references Bitcoin, right? I But, you could also take it the other way, whereas like fiat music is music that is backed by labels and, they put millions of dollars behind this artist so that they can force the mass population of people to like the song, even though, it might not be like the greatest song. And the greatest song is actually like this obscure artist that millions of people are listening to on TikTok, but the artist doesn't get the time of day from other executives, and so they don't book shows, they don't have brand deals, they don't get all of the perks that someone who is quote unquote fiat artist might have because of the machine that's behind them, right? um but so that being said, I think that anybody could be a Bitcoin artist. You don't necessarily have to talk about Bitcoin in your music. You could literally just make stuff that people really like and are willing to pay for in Bitcoin because you've given them the opportunity to pay for in Bitcoin. and you have no machine behind you. You don't have, an agent or a manager. It's just you and your microphone or your DAW at home, like just making art, and then you put it out and people just happen to discover it and really like it and pay for it in Bitcoin. I think that's a form of a Bitcoin artist, and that's a way of making Bitcoin music. But I think that we're still very early for that. I think right now we're still in the early days where like people are going to try to make music that is referencing Bitcoin, and that's going to be called Bitcoin music. But in the future, I think that it's going to be anybody who just makes cool music that people are willing to pay Bitcoin for.
Yeah, I think it's similar in the visual arts, but I kind of have the feeling that maybe visual arts started a bit earlier than music. Maybe I'm not correct, but
For sure.
I
Look at the memes. Memes are a form of visual art. And memes
yeah.
have been around in Bitcoin since the beginning.
Yeah. So we always wonder about this because I know that Bitcoin art was more focusing like the propaganda about Bitcoin, like letting people know, hey, Bitcoin exists. Let's give image to this thing. And now we're seeing more and more different kinds of artists and materials and creations. And yeah, I was wondering about that in the music scene because for me personally, some for me some for some art to be Bitcoin, for me it's even more than how are you receiving the money, or it's more about it fulfilling the Bitcoin ethos or like following those guides. So if it's proof of work, if it's like I don't know, quality, transparency, and all of those things, I kind of I tend to think, yeah, this is Bitcoin.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of hard to define it.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to define it since art is so subjective. But I also think I agree with you. Like if your message is true to who you are, and if you're putting in the work. So like for example, one of the things that you mentioned was the proof of work aspect behind the art. um a lot of these artists who I met, who I are, decentralized artists, bedroom artists as I like to call them, they are a one man show. They make all of their music on their computer with their little keyboard that has a million sounds loaded onto them. They record their own vocals. I record my own vocals. I'm my own engineer. I don't produce my music, but I find my producers. I mix my songs. I figure out the mastering, like I mentioned, through AI. I do the distribution. I do all of the paperwork. So these artists are all like, they do it all nowadays. Whereas like before in a fiat world, these would all be like jobs delegated to a bunch of people, and all these people were part of a bureaucracy, and they were trying to like, basically like climb the ladder where they would try to like become like the number one executive. And I think that that system sucked a lot of like the creative process out of music, because now all of a sudden you're making music for the sole purpose of making money, instead of making good music for the sole purpose of like making good art, and then that art happening to like, make it big on the free market, which is how I think it used to be up until a certain point. I actually think this would be a really interesting chart to put up on the WTF happened in 1971 chart, because if you look like at music before 1971 and after 1971, very different vibes, very different vibes. But I digress. I do agree with you though.
I think you got a point there. And just I'm just wondering as well, from that point of view, you just said there before 1971 there was perhaps better music made, or the way of making music was better. You can obviously tell me which one you believe most. Who are your kind of influences? Do they stem from before 1971 or after that?
Vocally, my biggest influence was Michael Jackson. and that's like an in-betweener, right? Because he was Jackson 5, and then Michael Jackson, the solo artist. I also love the Bee Gees. And these are all artists that are just like they fall in between, right? Fleetwood Mac. And then obviously I was born in the 90s, so I loved artists like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, who I mentioned earlier, Shakira. Um, I don't necessarily think Fiat ruined music, but it's kind of like that saying of like, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, did it happen? Like, I wonder what kind of artists we've completely missed out on because of the Fiat way of making music and because of the Fiat machine of distributing music. It's not necessarily that music was made better or worse like before or after, but um there is kind of like there's a bit of a difference. Like, I think the feel good music increased exponentially after the 70s, and before that you would have more artists talking about deeper subjects, and it was harder also to make music because you didn't have everything at the palm of your hands on a computer. You had to actually like go record, re-record, do it on this like big tape machine, and editing was very difficult. If you look at like the Beatles, they would record hundreds and hundreds of times the same song just to like get it right, and they would have to get it right on the whole take, you know, because editing was so difficult. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that answers my question. I agree. I like Christina Aguilera. Is one of my guilty pleasures. I'm going to admit that now on the internet. Genie in a Bottle is an absolute banger of a pop song.
Did you see
So
the recent re-recording she did of that? The recent performance?
no,
Oh my
is it any
God.
good?
I think she's coming out with an album re-recording all of her biggest hits. And it's like she did like a live version of What a Girl Wants with Sabrina Carpenter. It is incredible. It is like actually incredible. She's so good still to this day. She's so good.
What a legend! Because this is a completely separate conversation altogether. We could go into Christina Aguilera kind of fandom here, but just yeah, I think she was kind of shunned in the music industry, and it's lovely to see her kind of making a comeback as well.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
that's a good comparison. Like the rivalry between her and Britney Spears, like, and how the machine tended to favor Britney Spears because she was sexier and she could dance and she was doing all the extra stuff. But Christina Aguilera had soul. She could sing so well. And I think for a long time a lot of people ignored that, and it's funny that it's coming back now because it just shows that that's what lasts. The talent is what lasts. It's not all the bells and whistles around it, which I think a lot of people think that's what artistry is now. It's like, what are you really made out of underneath all of that stuff? What is it underneath the brand deals and the makeup and the dancing that really makes you a quality music artist? And I think that's also another thing that we kind of started losing after the 70s, and why I kind of have this like instinctual feeling that music just wasn't the same after that.
you're right; it doesn't have the same feel. I think it is completely throw away some of it. Um, but then I don't know. I'm getting older, Sophie, so I kind of lose touch with the modern trends. And I only found out Sabrina Carpenter was the other day. I'm okay to admit that live on air. So, but for me, I think obviously the classics will always kind of outlast a lot of the music that is produced today. So, I'm in terms of your music, I'm just wondering how you go about making it. Where do you start? Where does your inspiration come from?
So I am very much a songwriter first. I will admit to the world that I am not a producer. I don't know how to, like, make beats or anything like that. It's not my forte. I've always been a singer and a songwriter first. So my process starts by going online and looking for instrumental beats. I'll go on BeatStars or YouTube, and I'll just look at instrumentals and I'll start like humming something. I'll see what feels good melodically. And then I'll write. I'll just write, whatever is on my mind, maybe something I went through that day, maybe something that's like going on in the world. Recently, I started experimenting with AI, and I actually wrote an entire song with AI. I just like, I inserted all of the lyrics that I had written, and I told it like I wanted to have female vocals, I wanted to be upbeat, I wanted this and this and that. And it wrote, this girl sang the entire song of what I had written for the song, and it's actually quite good. I might re-record it and put it out myself because it's just like the AI did a really good job. But music writing is definitely evolving with AI, and so is my process. But that's usually how it goes. Like I'm very lyrics driven. I think lyrics are so important because they tell a story, and I love poetry and playing with words. So uh yeah, that's kind of what my process is like, and then I do all the rest of what I mentioned with distribution.
Hey, Sophie. So when are you thinking of releasing the new song? It was Bitcoin Baby or BTC Baby?
Yeah, BTC baby.
Yeah. When we'll be able to hear it?
So I want you guys to hear it as soon as possible, but I need visuals, because one of the things that I realized with music today is that it's important for you to have a visual attached to your music, because it just like it makes the product better. I don't think that people just listen to music like on Spotify as much anymore. Like if they want to look you up, they'll go on YouTube. And so I would very much love to work with someone on the visuals. I haven't been able to get around to it because I'm a new mom, and I just had a baby, and I've been like super busy. Just like making the song happen was a feat in and of itself. But yeah, I need visuals for both that one, and I need a producer and uh just a producer and visuals, I guess, for the other song, the AI song. It's called Peaceful Revolution, and it's really fun. It's very pop heavy. So if there's any producers out there who would like to collab on it, or music artist or music video directors, or just people who are good with visuals, doesn't even have to be like professional like that, who would want to collaborate with me on BTC Baby, just hit me up. My DMs are open.
Amazing. So now, if you're listening and you have these skills, you can go reach to Internet Sophie and to make it happen, because we really want to hear the song and we need the visuals. And I'm also thinking, um, are you like, have you performed live? Would you like to do that? Or, yeah, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I actually before I was Internet Sophie, I just went by my name, Sophie Alvarez. And I had worked with Emilio Stefan, so I have some experience in, the machine, as we call it. And we did a little mini promo tour across the US where I was performing in a bunch of bars, and yeah, so I have experience performing live. Uh, I don't love it as much as I love being in a studio, but I do love it when I'm performing with a band. So, uh, yeah, that's kind of my experience. I do have some experience with that.
I think it would be so cool to have a live music or more of these experiences in the Bitcoin conferences in the ecosystem, because yeah, the conferences have been like very, I would say, open to arts, and having a gallery is something very special that it's in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and people are more I don't know, like interested or willing to learn about Bitcoin through arts and all of that. But what I keep missing is other experiences. We have seen now they're creating well, films, and many conferences now like showcase films. But for me, the music scene is something that yeah, something that has to like not evolve, but be part. The conferences need to be thinking of this.
I agree with you. I think that a big part of that is getting online attention. I think if a song makes it really big on Bitcoin Twitter, then there's kind of an incentive to like hire musicians and put on a show. Because the thing is, making music is logistically complicated. Um, and it's also like it's mostly logistically complicated. It's also expensive because unlike a film or a piece of art that you can just play or hang up in a gallery, it's already done, right? It's finite in a way, but a musical performance, you have to like, it's very ongoing and there's a lot of preparation that people don't realize in, before, during, and after. You have to rehearse, you have to find the musicians, you have to rehearse, you have to get like insurance and stuff so that like if anyone breaks their leg on stage, like there's a lot. You have to rent equipment, and then you have to put the show together, you have to market it, and you have to pay your musicians. So yeah, there's a lot that goes on for a musical performance. I would love to be a part of that. And I think that, if there's any musicians who are Bitcoiners out in the spaces or in Bitcoin Twitter who would like to work with me, I think that would be so much fun. We're going to be at Bitcoin Amsterdam, and we're going to be at Plan B Lugano, as well as the conference in November in El Salvador. So if there are any musicians who would like to work with me and set up some rehearsal time and put something on, like seriously, hit me up, because I would love to do it. I haven't connected with anyone yet, but it would very much interest me to do it.
That's awesome. I'm going to Amsterdam, and I can play the guitar and the bass as well. But and yeah, but I don't know if not very well though, just about, Sophie. So, but if you wanted a jam at some point, happy to do that. I
Yo,
think you're
let's
probably
do it. Let's do it. No, seriously, let's do it. I'll send you the Peaceful Revolution song I wrote. And maybe we can work on it together, because I need to record it. So if we could play it live, like that would be cool too.
that would be insane. Yeah, just do a busk outside outside the conference, or inside the conference as well. That would also be good. But yeah, it needs to happen because I think
Yes.
like, oh gosh, I don't know what have I signed up for now. Um, I think it needs to happen though. What you were saying earlier, because I think music touches people in the same way, in a kind of an immediate sense that art, as in visual art, can't. It's visual art is always there, but music is all consuming once you're in it, and in the performance, you can't think of anything else. And so I think it needs that aspect at conferences. But as you quite rightly says, it does take a bit of preparation, practice, and getting the show right. So. Yeah, there we go. Well, it could be the initial performance there. So there's a
Seriously,
first.
let's do it. Like we get there early October, like just DM me and we'll figure out maybe like, an hour or two of rehearsal, and then we can do it at the conference, just like in the middle of the floor. I would be so down to do that.
Okay, if we can get hold of a guitar, I can do that. Let's do it.
Hey, if you do this, that will be the most FOMO I will have. Like, I don't even have that much FOMO of missing these conferences because I'm super tired. But if you guys do it, like, yeah, I'm gonna suffer.
Flo, you're not coming? I can't believe it.
No. Yeah, no,
I
not
see
this
you at
time.
like almost every conference. What's going on?
I'm losing my mojo now.
Oh my God, no, girl.
Uh,
I know that you're tired. We're tired. Like, this happened like kind of last minute. So, and we're going with the baby, of course. So, it's going to be a lot.
oh, she's so cute. Yeah, no, I really enjoy going to conferences. I don't know if this is me because some people don't really like it, but no, it's been a lot. This year has been crazy,
Yeah.
and well, I think um, yeah, what you were mentioning, like about the difficulties of performing live and what that means. Yeah, it's true, but I think that the conference that goes into that direction, that goes more into a festival, into more of an experience where you can immerse yourself, I think it's gonna have like a, I don't know, like a leading, because you have all these conferences and there are a lot, and they're kind of the same, like, and no one really, I mean, some people go there to learn, but I think more people go to connect with other bitcoiners, with other like-minded people. So yeah, I think they need to have these kind of experiences, and if you guys just go and crush it and do it like on in this very spontaneous way in Amsterdam, it will be amazing.
I agree. I agree. Now, I'm going to start looking for places to rent equipment from so that we can make this happen.
Oh gosh.
No,
This is
no,
it.
you opened your mouth. Now this is happening.
Oh dear. I'm just thinking, is anyone else there? Because there's a group of Bitcoin artists that I know do play the bass and drums, but yeah,
There's
I
there's also Satoshi Nakamoto happening. So
oh cool.
we can probably ask some people who are going there. I don't know if it's happening in Amsterdam or in Lugano. I have to check the chat, but uh we'll make it happen. We'll make it work.
Yeah, that's fine. It's good. I'll just brush off the old six string. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
You got this. I believe in you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, normally I do a lot of punk and things like that, so it'll be a very interesting change to actually have someone who can sing really well in tune. So that'll be quite an experience. Um, you are listening to The Art of Freedom, where music careers are made by the sounds of it. We're with Internet Sophie. We've only got another 4 minutes or so left. And we really like you interacting with the show. Just checking the chat out now because you don't have to actually say anything on air, because I appreciate that doesn't work well for some people, or you get sucked into a project or something like that. But Naomi says music to my ears, so thank you, Naomi, and thank you very much for listening. Skylar says Taylor Swift is Fiat. Well, there we go. Thank you, Skylar, for your opinion. What would be your favorite artist, Skylar? Let us know kind of in the comments. Sophie, if you could work with any artist in the world, alive or dead, who would it be?
Damn, you can't say and dead. And dead?
Yes, I can. Okay, I'll say live.
Just alive. Okay, fine. I'll give you two answers. Alive, it's Lana Del Rey for sure. 100% every day, any day. Dead, it would be Michael Jackson.
Wow, that's a really amazing mission. Lana Del Rey got married to a crocodile alligator boat captain the other day.
Yes, she
Apparently,
did. Yes, she did.
unbelievable. What's going on?
Let me tell you,
Um,
I'm such a fan. Her lyrics, her music, the production is so different from anything we've heard, in my opinion, that we've heard in the last like 20 years. The closest thing to anybody like her is Mazzy Star. And I mean, that nobody really knew about her until, you know, like very few people knew about her. Let's just say that people knew about her, but not the way that they did Lana Del Rey. So Lana kind of brought all of those artists back to the forefront, and yeah, she's my favorite artist. I could listen to her all day.
Video Games is one of my favorite songs of the last 20 years, definitely.
Yeah, fire.
Just incredible when that came out. I bought the single on vinyl because it was just so good.
Wow.
But yeah, I remember when she came, unbelievable.
Her new album, There's a Tunnel. Well, it's not that new anymore, but her last album, the There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard, is extremely well made. It's so well made. I highly recommend it.
That is going to be my listening for tomorrow there. So Bitcoin music today, Lana Del Rey tomorrow. My life is incredible. So thank you very much for that recommendation. Really appreciate that. We've actually come to the end of our hour. It's gone so quick. Unbelievable. And it's been not only incredibly insightful, Sophie, incredibly entertaining, and incredibly fruitful in terms of creating bands and stuff like that. So I just want to
We're
thank you.
efficient here on Bitcoin Twitter. We make things happen.
Yeah, no messing around. That's it, done and dusted. But I just want to say thank you so much for giving up your time to come onto the Art Freedom to not only talk to us, but talk to the community as well. And just before we head off, can you just remind people where they can find your music if they would like to go and do it?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can find my music on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere that you stream music under Internet Sophi. That's Sophi, Sophi. You can also catch me sometimes on Simply Bitcoin as a co-host on the live show. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk about art and freedom. I want to thank Flo for reaching out and hope that we are all a part of making the peaceful revolution just a little bit prettier and a little bit more fun.
That's a fantastic message to go away with. Just before we finish, Flo, do you have any words to sign off?
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Sophie, for joining us, Rebel always, and everyone who is listening with us. And just go have an amazing creative week and see you next week. I think I'll be alone, Rebel. Yeah. So next week we have a Gareth, and he'll tell us all about the world of jewels and stones and hem art in the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Have an amazing week, everyone. Go out and create something amazing. Until next Monday.
Peace out.